to the temple! Hey everybody, what's going on? My name is Monk Luigi, and thank you all for coming in and tuning in. And God, I gotta say, man, news has been interesting in the science community. Now, if you don't know what this channel is all about, we talk about science, philosophy, chemistry, or anything in particular that comes to mind in regards to what's going on in our world. So today, I pulled up an article today in regards to about North Carolina. North Carolina, come on and raise up, take the shirt. I'm sorry, I got into it. Anyway, skipping all of that, apparently we've been having some high rise in our sea levels on the east coast of our country. And North Carolina has apparently been getting impacted by it. In fact, apparently they're going to do like a 2-part series in the news articles. So I'm looking for part 2, but I was able to come across part 1. So I want to go over the article. We're going to skim through it a little bit. I'm not going to go over the entire article, but you're going to be able to see where I got it from, and then maybe I can go ahead and do a little bit more details. But I'm going to pull some information from there, read a little bit of the section so that way we can go over it. And then after that, I'm going to give you my thoughts from the scrolls and what I see and how I'm seeing it. So let's go ahead and jump right into this article. I think it's very interesting for us to go over. So I'm going to switch over. And boom. So here we go. Did the switch over. So here we are. It says Rising Oceans Part 1 Sea Level Rise is already reshaping North Carolina's coast. Now, the signs of rising sea levels can be dramatic on the North Carolina coast. Stronger storms push storm surge up into the oceanfront communities like Ocracoke, breaking records as the sea washes through the dunes, through homes and businesses, making the barrier island almost uninhabitable. But the day-by-day signs of the sea level rise is much more subtle. High tides increasingly creep into waterfront roads like river streets in Wilmington. Salt water slowly seeps into the lands, killing trees and ruining farmland. North Carolina is already seeing the effects of sea level rise along the coast. This 3-part online series from Spectrum News 1 will explore what the state is seeing already, what it can expect to see, and what North Carolina coastal communities can do about it. Now, the key things you want to take from this, as it says, is what you need to know, is that the sea levels is rising on the North Carolina coast, bringing into with it beach erosion, higher tides, and pushing salt water into the areas of fresh groundwater. Projections say the ocean could rise anywhere from 1 foot to 8 foot, depending on how the world cuts back on carbon emission and slow climate change. And by the end of the century, some areas could see high tides flooding every week or more. And also we have ghost forests are growing as salt water penetrated through further into the mainland and kills trees. And if you don't know, with the amount of salt into the soil, a lot of the trees will have problems being able to get the chemicals that they need to continue to grow, which would be phosphorus, sulfur, and a few other chemicals that they would be able to pull from the soil to be able to continue the growth and spurt and to continue to repopulate the density of North Carolina forests, as well as beach erosion. As you can see, if there's more ocean and water, there's more water coming in surge, then it's going to pull more sand and pull more dirt from the land that we are on, which would inevitably make it even more difficult for us to be able to populate those areas. And we all know we love to have our beaches and enjoy those times there. I wanted to go over something that stuck out a lot in this article, and why I'm going over it is that they have a moving chart here in the article which indicates that the ocean has been rising about 2 millimeters per year. According to, what was it? Come up here a little bit. University Coastal Studies Institute in Roanoke Island. Today, the main driver of sea level rise is a global phenomenon with warming temperatures. Warming ocean, more water making it into the ocean associated with melting glaciers. That's the big driver today, he said. North Carolina has 300 miles of ocean shoreline and another 1,200 miles of coastal along bays and inside the barrier islands. The 300 miles of oceanfront shoreline is critical. That's where we are seeing that front line, where we are seeing a lot of changes on the coast, but we are also seeing changes right at these marshes, these critical wetlands, Corbin says. In northeast North Carolina, the sea is rising at a rate of about 4.5 millimeters each year. In South Park, on the southern end of the state's coastline, the rate is about 2 millimeters of sea level rise per year. Corbett and other scientists agree that the rates will likely increase in the decades to come. So this is a 10 to 15 year projection that they are indicating for these different cities in North Carolina, showing that because of melting glaciers and because of deforestation and because of global warming, that they are projecting that this linear trend, and they've been following it since the 1920s, all the way up to now with different cities, that they're showing that on the East Coast, which called America, that the oceans have been rising steadily. About 4.5 millimeters in certain cities to 2 millimeters in other areas. So about 2 to 5 millimeters per year that we've been showing a steady growth of ocean increase, which is not a good thing, especially for the East Coast where there's a lot of trees, a lot of animals, a lot of us living there, and we're just having this surge of water. Too much of something that's good can be a bad thing. I wanted to show a little bit more in the article where they are indicating where it's coming from. They're showing that it's a possibility that the tides are being increased drastically. You can follow the tides, tidal floodings in cities like Miami, Charleston, South Carolina, and Norfolk, Virginia. It's becoming a lot of a nuisance for many of these populace because many people who own businesses or homes in these cities they're seeing a lot of water seepage into the lands that they're living at or they're building up, and it can be followed by the moon cycle. So they're seeing this is being affected in numerous cities around our country. So also I wanted to show the NOAA forecast between 6 and 15 tidal flood days a year by 2030. By 2050, the NOAA forecasts anywhere from 25 to 100 days of flooding from high tides each year. Further north in Duck on the Outer Banks, NOAA says that the town will likely see 20 to 30 days of tidal flooding by the end of this decade. By 2050, that number goes up to 50 to 135 days of sunny day floods each year. So this is a big issue here from the National Oceanic Atmospheric Administration. This projection is indicating that there's going to be even more flooding coming soon if these tides continue to grow. And as we continue to track them through the moon and lunar phases, they're going to show and indicate whether or not their projection is correct. That by the time we get to these points, we are going to see a resurgence of oceans covering or taking over the East Coast even further, or it will show an inverse to that and the trend will somehow go lower. So I also wanted to show this graph because they have another moving graph here about the forests in North Carolina and how it's been decreasing. From the moving graph, you can see that the red areas show the amount of dead trees that are going across the North Carolina state. And as you can see, the green sections, of course, is more populated trees and greenery that we're having. And you can see that it's been decreasing over some time. And this is from 1985 to 2019. I don't know how it is right now currently, but as you can see, we're having a resurgence of less trees and more dead trees coming across the state. I remember when I was living there, they did a lot of controlled fires in North Carolina, where, if you don't know, controlled fires are utilized as a means to go ahead and not only kill off a lot of dead foliage, but to also get rid of pests, as well as reduce the ability of all of a sudden a spontaneous fire occurring. As you know, dead wood is the best kindling for creating a fire, and it gets really hot in North Carolina and it's a little bit moist, so you combine that heat, moisture, and wind, and with its powers combined, it makes Captain Planet of a wildfire. And we don't want that. So I saw while I was there a lot of controlled fires being utilized over the summers or the hotter months, and they were trying to kill off dead foliage, and apparently this is an increase, and that's because of the tidal resurgence. That's one of many factors. So I wanted to show this map because it was animated, So instead of doing a still picture, and I thought that would be something that would be of interest. And of course, you know, they were also talking about the stronger storms. Apparently, Hurricane Dorian was one of the highest storm surges that ever hit one of the islands in North Carolina, Ocracoke Island. And it's one of many storms that will be likely to continue to hit us in the world. Of course, we need hurricanes. They reset the atmospheric pressure and they help with many things. They hurt many things as well. But the more storms we get, the more the tidal surges we'll have hitting or battering our coast. And if we don't have it defended, it's more likely that we'll lose a lot more of our forest populations in our major states, as well as a lot of our lands that we have. So I say that to show this article. You can take a read at it. It's actually pretty interesting. They already have a part 2, the part 3 series already out. I may do another video on it to go ahead and go through the other parts as I do some more research into this. But I want to go ahead and give my thoughts going in. So, what can you take from that article that we just went over? Well, the ocean is a major factor in our world. We have to go ahead and try to take care of her, as the ocean life, as well as our lives, are dependent on it. If I'm not mistaken, there's quite a few freshwater areas in our states that we can utilize. Probably throw up a photo up here indicating our freshwater supplies. And the ocean and the rivers and the lakes, and they're all connected in one form, shape, or way. So if the ocean is being impacted, you know our rivers and lakes are being impacted too. I will state that this article was made on the 26th of May, and they indicated in the article, which I'll probably post on here as well, that the moon phase also impacts ocean tidal surge, the growing of the ocean. And during that date, the moon phase for that date was a full moon. And during the full moon, all of the water is going to increase. All of the ocean is going to increase. So it may be, you know, that they're just seeing it at this factor that, hey, you know, the water has just been increasing. But they also said that, hey, that this wasn't the biggest factor, it's just the glacial melting that we're having. So we have to take care of the ozone layer. We have to do more as we can as a community, as Americans, to try to reduce our carbon emissions. I do believe that there is an article indicating, which I will post up here as well, that we have reduced our carbon emissions. We may not be the highest, but we're still up there. There are other countries that are putting out a lot more carbon into the atmosphere, so we got to take care of our ozone layer as a world, so that way we can go ahead and try to take care of the planet that we currently exist on. So that's just my thoughts from the scrolls on this part here. Hopefully North Carolina is going to not be impacted too much, and hopefully the things that we do now can reshape the 10, 15, and 30-year projections that they are saying, where we're going to have this huge impact of ocean surge that's going to hurt us even more. And hey, maybe we can go ahead and repopulate North Carolina state, as well as Virginia, as well as Florida, with more trees, and help with reshaping the land and the soil, so that way we have a place or land to be able to live on it. But hey, those are just my thoughts coming from the scrolls. What do you think? Do you think that this is not something that's as big of a deal to be looked at right now, or is it something that we should take into consideration? How we act as a human race on this planet to make sure that everything is functioning correctly, or should we not even consider that as a possibility and we're doing things in the right motion? Hey, in my opinion, I think that there's a lot more that we can do to go ahead and try to fix this. Making small steps gives us greater strides, and we can hopefully descend that graph. But hey, maybe I'm off base, maybe I'm hitting this one and it's coming to a short stop, but maybe, just maybe, I'm knocking this one out of the park. Either way, please like, share, subscribe, comment down below, and remember, this L is for you.